a huge number of real estate agents have left the business.
Mm-hmm.
That creates a lot of market share to grab. I think there was a statistic that came out like the last week or two was like the lowest home sales since 95 or something like that or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? I saw that come up. I saw that headline come up recently. That doesn't change the ability to grab more market share.
Welcome back to Nevada Realtors Today, your place for timely updates on the news and trends that matter to realtors in the Silver State. Now let's join your Nevada Realtors President, Brandon Roberts, and Nevada Realtors CEO, Tiffany Banks, for today's episode of Nevada Realtors Today.
You always seem like you're almost like this old soul. Like you think about all that you've accomplished from being, like this multi-talented real estate executive, coach, entrepreneur, speaker, philanthropist. You've been a 30 under 30 honoree for NAR, a member of Forbes Real Estate Council, a recipient of the Rising Star Award for California. I could go on and on and on, but you have so much knowledge beyond your years, right? Like do people tell you that?
Yeah, all the time. And it's really funny because that's all by design, right? It's not like I just woke up and I was like, oh, I'm really smart, look, when I got into real estate, I knew nothing. I knew nobody in real estate.
Okay.
I knew, I didn't know, I knew what meets and bounds was, because I had to learn that for the test. But I knew nothing about real estate, right? I knew nothing. But when I start to do something, I am a big believer in I want to be the best at what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And I also as an athlete, when I played soccer, as an athlete, I was never the best player. I was never oh, he's the highest rated goalkeeper when I was younger. It wasn't like that. But there was a saying that I picked up somewhere. I don't know where I picked it up from, but it was there's always someone out there getting better than you by working harder than you.
Hmm.
And I've lived my life that way. So when I got into real estate, it's okay, I don't know anything, but I need to learn it. So I read every book, listen to every podcast, talk to every single person. If I don't know the answer, I have no issue picking up the phone and asking somebody that does know the answer for advice. Right. And I think that's how we have this growth. And I consistently on a daily basis, I have 2 hours a day that I dedicate to just learning, period. Where most people, we forget to do that. I mean, if you think about it, all growing up, you go to school for most of the day, you're learning. And then all of a sudden you're done with school and then people just decide to stop learning. It doesn't make sense, right? So for me, I want to intake as much knowledge as possible. So when there's, for instance, all of the new rules and all the news, I want to dive in and learn it and read the contracts back to back and highlight them and go through them so that I understand it, so that I can articulate it in a professional way. The same way with, my life experiences. Like I said, I went through this big depression, this identity crisis, this whole thought process. And afterwards, I'm reading about it. I'm reading about it to this day because I want to understand it even more, even though I went through it. Right. I think that I hated school, but I love learning. I am a big advocate for consistently learning, consistently teaching yourself. I think I mentioned earlier, I put this 90-day challenge for real estate agents together, inspired a little bit by 75 Hard.
Tell us about that.
And part of it is you got to read 10 pages of a motivational business book, right? Because I think that you have to consistently learn. So I'll kind of go into, there's a thing called 75 Hard. You guys have heard of it,
Yep.
right?
I made it 10 days.
You can do longer.
No, it's tough. It's tough, right?
It's super tough, and it's super tough mentally, right? So it's really funny because I've had a lot of friends and other professionals in the industry and out of the industry and different businesses that have done it and completely changed their lives. Because it's about mental discipline, right? And I've never done it, by the way. But it's funny because when I was explaining this the other day to some of the agents that I work with, they were like, why have you never done 75 Hard? I was like, well, I don't need added sugar. I work out every day multiple times. I'm like, and I go down the list. I'm like, I do all of this. I read 6 books a month. Like this is, I don't do it 75 hard. I just live my life, like, so because it's all
We
habits.
do every
It's
day
all-
hard.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know
Exactly.
him already.
It's all based on habits, right? Like just habit building. So I said, okay, well, what if we can build something like that for real estate agents? And there's a bunch of different people that like have tried 75 hard for real estate agents and things like that. But like in my mind, I'm a big believer in like our business is on 90-day cycles. I think what you do today is what comes up 90 days from now. And so 75 days didn't make sense to me. So I said, okay, I'm going to build a 90-day challenge. 10 things. 10 things on a daily basis that if you did these 10 things on a daily basis for the next 90 days, I guarantee your business will change. I guarantee your business will change. Um, the first thing is making one social media post on a daily basis, either story, feed, reel, or TikTok. Pretty simple. Like if it's a story, just post a picture of where you're at, but you got to do something on social once a day. The next thing is one 30-minute workout every single day because I'm a big believer in like, oh, and that could be walking, by the way. Like it doesn't need to be like, oh, go, like me, or I'm going to go run 3 miles, like it just go walk or do something, get your body moving because the mind and the body are very much connected. Door knock, I say 20 doors a day.
Hmm.
Um, and I always tell people it depends on your market, right? Because door knocking 20 doors in my market is very easy, but like you go into rural markets, like it's pretty hard to door knock that many doors, like because they're so far away. Read 10 pages of a motivational business book, nonfiction book every single day. Add one contact to your database. The next thing is call one referral partner daily. So, for instance, like lenders, attorneys, financial advisors, so on and so forth. Just introduce yourself to one referral partner on a daily basis.
So a new person, so not one in your existing network.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. A new person. So at the end of it, you'll have called 90 people, right? Like this is the thought process.
Okay.
It's super powerful. I mean, if you take any one of these and you just do one of these for 90 days straight, I guarantee your business will change. If you do
I
all
wanna
of them,
do all
you're
of
going to be a
them.
whole different agent.
I'm not
Yeah.
even a realtor and I want to do all of them. Okay, keep going.
Hell yeah. The next thing is write down one thing you're grateful for each morning.
Mm-hmm.
Then write down one thing you're grateful for each evening. Then comment on 10 social media posts and reply to 10 social media stories daily. There's a connection between this, by the way. Like if you comment on 10 social media posts and you reply to 10 social media stories, you're going to show up on their feed more often because you're interacting. So as you're posting, it's all going to be connected, right? You want to stay top of mind for your clients. And then this is the one that everybody's like, what? It's have 5 new voice to voice or face to face interactions about your business. So every day introducing yourself to 5 new people, either by phone or in person, and introduce yourself about your business.
So how do you usually, so for you, because you're a very social person, is that easy? Like you're at coffee and you're just like, my name's Cyrus, what's up? Or what does that
So
look
it's really
like?
funny. So actually, I really don't like doing that.
Okay.
Now, if I'm sitting here and I'm like, I did it last night. I'm at this restaurant and these people are talking about something, and I'm like, oh, I know. Like, I'll lean in and I'll be like, hey, like blah blah blah, right? Like, I'll just totally interrupt. Like, they were having a serious business meeting, but then talking about something I knew. So I was like, hey, hey, did you know this? And they're like, well, that's really cool. And then I have a conversation, right? But like going cold is like actually like it's so nerve wracking for me.
Yeah.
But I actually got this from one of my very good friends, who's built an amazing business, has over 1,200 agents that work for him. I mean, he's built a great business, and how he built the business is by doing this exact script. He basically goes and he's introduces himself and he says, "Hi, my name." For instance, it's "Hi, my name's Cyrus Mohseni. I'm a local real estate agent here. I wanted to ask you a question. Do you have a real estate agent that you're working with already?" And people like you're like on the side of the street, like you're walking down the side, like
Mhm.
people are like, "What?" Like no or yes, right?
Right.
And they're like, "I don't need a real estate agent." Okay, well, when you do need a real estate agent, could I be your go-to resource for anything real estate?
Hmm.
Very simple conversation. Um, a lot of people are probably going to say no.
Mhm.
A lot of people are probably going to say, what the hell? This business
But
is
what
all
about for
about
the
relationships, though.
introvert? But what about, like, Brandon, who, obviously has a very successful business, but he's an introvert. Like, that does that seem like the last thing you'd wanna do, Brandon?
So we actually have like a 30-day challenge we put our agents through a lot of times, and it's similar to that. We basically have them introduce themselves and just ask, "Do you know anybody that wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate?"
Hmm.
Yep.
And actually really tough to do, but if you do 5 of those a day, it starts to become easier.
Yeah.
But it gives I'm getting a little bit of anxiety just talking about it. So
So when I go through this with people, I literally start going down the list, and at first it's like, oh, make one social media. Okay, cool. Work out 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, not so bad. Door knock, $20. Wait a second. Like, I don't know. And then so it's a challenge, right?
Right.
I I was like, what do I call this? I was like, Cyrus's, 90-day challenge to change your real estate business. Like, but your it's supposed to be a challenge. It's not supposed
Mhm.
to be easy.
Okay.
It's not easy for me either, by the way. Like, and the reason being is like it's not a natural way to have a conversation. Like, it's not a natural way to go up to somebody and say, "Hey, do you know anybody that wants to buy, sell, or
Yeah.
lease real estate?" Like, like that's not natural.
Right.
But I guarantee that if you have these 5 conversations over the life of your 90 days, let's pretend one person a day says, okay, you just added 90 people to your database.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's insane, right? Let's say you add 100 people to your database, you're going to have one transaction.
Right. Right.
Like it's statistically, you will have one transaction.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's that's where it gets really really powerful, when it's all based on stacking, right,
Right.
over time.
Absolutely.
um but it all stems from the same thought process of like, can we be a little bit better every single day? Can we
Mhm.
intake a little bit more? Can we learn a little bit more on a daily basis, and so on and so forth. So for the people that do this and like will like lean into it and go all in on it, like I can make a guarantee that their business will change. Now, if
Right.
you go and you do, oh, I do 3 of them today, but tomorrow I'll do 4 more, it's not going to
Mm,
work as well,
yeah,
right?
be
Like, you have to
open.
go all in.
Right. So what do you think
compound effect.
Yep.
what do you think right now are the top 2 ways to, like, earn listings?
Um, top 2 ways to earn listings. So the first thing that like I know that we're doing, um, is, I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head right now, but a huge number of real estate agents have left the business.
Mhm.
That creates a lot of market share to grab.
Mhm.
There's a lot of agents that I've talked to over the last 6 to 8 months, that are scared, that
Mhm.
are like, what the heck are we going to do? How are we
Mhm.
going to survive? Yada, yada. And I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this is the best market that we're going to have,
Mhm. Opportunity, you look at it as an
opportunity
right.
wise.
Okay.
because yeah, okay, I think there was a statistic that came out like the last week or two, was like the lowest home sales since 95 or something like that, or
Mhm.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? I saw that come up. I saw that
Yep.
headline come up recently. But like that doesn't change the ability to grab more market share. um when I first got in the business, I remember going to like pretty much every single real estate event and like watching all of these like superstars speak.
Mhm.
And I remember the common denominator was most of them made it out of a bad market.
Hmm.
I watched guys that had been through the trenches in the REO markets and yada yada, and most of them had been through bad markets.
Mhm.
And when I'd ask them questions, because I'd go up to them afterwards, I'd be like, "Hey, so like this is, you said you went through this and you kind of went through, but like, how did you get through that?"
Mhm.
You ask these questions about it, and it's like, well, a lot of people are leaving the business at that time.
Mhm.
So who's going to do the business? Because every single day throughout history, there's going to be houses sold.
Yeah.
Right now, a lot of people have more than enough equity that they are not going to go. Most people aren't going to let their house go, right? To lose their house or whatever, right? To to the bank or whatnot, right?
Mm.
But like that happens still today. So those people are still going to have to transact. There's going to be people don't buy or sell real estate. Like this is the thing that I always get to, like, people don't sell their houses because I'm such a good salesperson.
Mhm.
People sell their houses because of something that's going on in their lives.
Mhm.
And last time I checked, there's two things that are guaranteed in life. One is death, and two, that we're going to go through something.
Mm.
We're going to have some sort of life experience.
Mhm.
And those life experiences are why we transact.
Mhm.
And so when we look at that side of things, then we understand, like, no matter what, there's going to be transactions that are going to happen. So
Mhm.
in today's market, yeah, it's a slower market. In today's market, yeah, it's a little harder. In today's market, the negotiation changed. But at the end of the day, there's more market share to grab.
Mhm.
So what we're looking at is, like, we're looking at like the agents that have left the business. We're looking at the people that they transacted with over the last couple years or whatnot, or the onesie twosie agents that are no longer inside the business, the hobbyist agents is what I say.
Mhm.
And we're taking those transactions, and then we're loving on those people,
Mhm. Hmm.
right? We're introducing ourselves to those people.
Yeah.
And that look, like, our MLS has a way to be able to, like, filter things like this. There's some people that, like, oh, that XYZ agent is no longer in the business, you haven't seen them
Mm.
doing anything, yada yada. Like, I would look at their past transactions and go over to their knock on those doors and say, hello, my name's Cyrus Mohseni. I'm a local real estate agent here. I do a lot of business in this area. I just want to be here as a resource whenever you're ready to do anything, what in regards to real estate.
Mhm.
Adopt the orphans.
Adopt the exactly,
Mhm.
because that will continue to bless you year over year over year. They say, what is it? They say, like, year 5 in your real estate business is when you really truly start getting, like, repeat clients, referrals, and things like this. Like, what if you're a brand new agent in this business, and agents that have been in the business for 5 years just dropped out? Like, you can adopt those people, and you're going to accelerate your business exponentially,
Hmm.
because you're going to start being able to grab listings that would have went to somebody else.
Mhm.
Again, it's a scary business, but that's like one of the best ways to get listings right now. I truly believe it.
And then what about on the buy side? Do you represent both buyers and sellers? And have you found like this new norm of doing business with buyers? Have you had to really kind of work hard to actually do a buyer presentation? Like, what has been your key? If we had like two ways to earn a buyer's business right now, what would those be?
Yeah. So as far as buy side goes, like, we've been doing this for a little while.
Mhm.
So it became it's not really like a something that changed in our business. But as I've been going across the country and speaking, like, I realized that most people, this wasn't a practice. But we've treated buyers as listings always.
Hmm.
Meaning, like, for us, I'm a big believer in there's 3 steps to close literally any single deal, right? It's the first thing is create rapport, the second thing is create value, and the third is to close the deal. Like, those 3 steps are and in that order. If you go and you try to close the deal before you have rapport and create value,
Mm.
forget it. It's not happening. If you
Mhm.
go try to create value before you close, you're just, like, I was gonna say, it's like one of those salespeople that, like, you're walking in the mall and they're like, come on, come get it. Look how great it is. It's like, no,
Mhm.
dude, leave me alone. But if they come up, they're like, oh, I like your shoes. I like your watch. Oh, thank you so much. Blah, blah, blah. How are you? Boom, boom, boom. And then they're like, hey, come check this out. This is really cool. This might help you for that thing. I might sit there and say, maybe I'll look at it.
Mhm.
Right. And then they tell me how great it is. And blah, 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 blah. I probably will get sold. I'm pretty easy to get sold.
Yeah,
Um,
you're really an 80-year-old man looking like you're in a 30-year-old body because of that eye cream you bought, right?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because I agree with the mall that they sold
Yeah.
Magic
Stuff
Serum.
works.
Uh,
It does
yeah,
work.
exactly. Ta-da! No, so my point is at the end of the day, when we're looking at the buy side transaction, like we have to meet the people. So where are you going to meet those people? I truly believe open houses are probably one of the best lead sources, and a lot of people aren't doing them the right way.
Mm.
So we have like a full I have like a full open house system that for instance, like when you do an open house, I'm a big believer in, if you're gonna do an open house, you have to door knock um you have to door knock 100 homes around that open house.
Hmm.
Like you have to, when you're doing an open house, you know, when these people walk in, stand up and greet them. Don't be sitting down in the back, right? Like
Mm.
these are basic things, but these are thought processes that, you know. And then I always talk about let's talk about like open houses, how you're actually going to lead generate from these open houses, which I think is like, again, one of the most underrated sources for buyers in general. Because as a new agent, right? Like, and then there's this time where like you're like in the you're like you have like the new agents that start doing open houses, they get some business, and then they keep doing open houses, and then all of a sudden they're like these like top agents, and then they stop doing open houses again, and then they're like, "Where's my business?"
Hmm.
And then it's
Mhm.
only, "Oh, I only do business off referrals." Well, like, yeah, but you could probably exponentially grow your business if you continue to do the basics. Like, I'm a big believer in back to the basics. When I played soccer, we'd show up to training and we'd start training by walking and stretching and touching our toes and things like that. And then when we got the ball finally, we're passing probably 5 yards away from each other before we go
Mhm.
and pass the 50, 60-yard ball,
Mhm.
right? Like it's all about the basics on a daily basis. If we can just lean into the basics on a daily basis, we'll win. So, so like for the open house, like I'm a big believer in, like, if you're going to do an open house on Saturday, like you got to have that on the MLS by Wednesday.
Mhm.
You're gonna post it on your social media. You're gonna email your SOI. Like, this is something that, like, I think a lot of people don't do. They'll do open houses and they don't email their own SOI about it.
Mhm.
And it's like people are like, yeah, but my SOI is not going to buy the house. Your SOI is most likely not going to buy the houses and transact. Your SOI is your army. Your SOI is the people that are going to refer you the business. Do you think that people are going to refer you the business if they don't see that you're active?
Hmm.
Yeah, open
They
houses is
can
more than
love you. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say open house is more than just showing up with signs. Like there's a whole
Exactly.
process. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, you know, email your SOI beforehand. Are you emailing the agents around your open house, the ones that have transacted in those areas, telling them you're doing open house? Are you posting on your social media? Are you doing the 100 door knocks? Right? Do you have your CMA of the area? Do you have the stats? Do you have the current articles of your neighborhood? Right? Do you know all, have you previewed all of the pendings and actives in the neighborhood? Like, there's a lot more to this process than just throwing up. But if you do it the right way, if you have the 15, 20 signs up, if you've done the email, you've done the door knocks, you've done all of this, what you're going to see is your business is going to grow, not just on the buy side, on the buyers that are coming in, but
Mhm.
also on the listing side. Because what's going to happen also is your SOI, the other agents, everyone's going to see that you're active in this business on a daily basis.
Mhm.
So imagine if every single time an agent did an open house, you got an email saying, "Hey, come to my open house." And every week you're like, "This guy is doing 4 open houses a week. Like, what the hell?" When you have a referral, who are you going to send it to?
Mhm. Absolutely.
So you
Because you want your
mentioned
clients taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you mentioned door knocking a couple times now. I mean, when you got into business, that kind of how you built your business.
I built my business. My schedule. I'll tell you my exact schedule. My first year of my business, first couple of years of my business. Um, at 8 a.m. to 12 noon, I called. I dialed for FSBOs expired, for sale by owners, and circle dialed. I just got people's information from tax record and just started calling the neighborhoods, introducing myself. So I did that 4 hours a day. Then I, from 12 to 1, it was my lunchtime. I was preparing for my door knocking. From from 1 to 3, I door knocked every single day. Typically 2 hours in the neighborhoods that we have, we can hit about 100 doors. That's on our average. I did that Monday through Friday and then 2 open houses a week. That was my schedule. And then everybody's always like, "That's impossible because then how do you follow up with your clients and take care of your clients?" It's like, well, I just schedule. Like, it's very simple. And then there's something called, have you guys ever heard of sleep debt? So it's like when you're supposed to get, let's say you're supposed to get 8 hours of sleep, you
Mhm.
miss, you get 6 hours tonight. Well, tomorrow you should get 10 hours. Like,
Mhm.
this is the thought
Oh, yeah.
process. And then it adds up, right? Um, I believe that in our prospecting. Like, there's prospecting debt.
Hmm.
Like, like if you're supposed to hit 2 hours of door knocking today, but you know what, you didn't hit your door knocking because you had to go meet with a client. Like, you got to add those 2 hours somewhere,
Hmm.
Got to make it up.
right? You're gonna hit your time. So if it's 2 hours and tomorrow you might do 30 minutes. The next day you
Mhm.
might do 30 minutes. The next day you might do 30 minutes more. And the next day you might do 30 minutes. So now the next couple days you're doing 2 hours and 30 minutes of door knocking instead of 2 hours. Right. But like, as long as we're making that time up, then it works.
Mhm.
Um, but that was my schedule. So yeah, I built a lot of my business from door knocking and cold calling. That's how I built. So my first year, remember I told you I went through this identity crisis. I thought people loved me for what I did, not for who I
Mhm.
was. And I didn't really talk to anybody. I didn't want to. It was like this false narrative in my mind that like I had to wait until I was successful in the business to be able to say I'm in
Right.
the business.
Mhm.
Like this like if I would have leaned into my SOI my first year, it would have been way easier.
Mhm.
Um,
You didn't
but
wanna show up as, like, an imposter or somebody that you weren't.
correct. And that
Mhm.
was like, it's just a false narrative that we have. Like, it's an
Right.
insecurity that I had, right? Um, but so my first year, like all my business was from outside business. My first year had no SOI business.
Mhm.
After that, I grew. So my first year, I ended up selling 30 million in my first year, and then like after that, I've done probably over 100 million every single year. Like, so so my business grew exponentially when I implemented my SOI,
Mhm.
right? But before that, I sold so much from just cold reach outs, really, and
Mhm.
just like I said, outworking every single person.
Mhm.
And I don't do it now. I wear hoodies all the time and things like that. But like my first probably 5 years in the business, I wore a suit every single day and dress shoes, and I door knocked in a suit and dress shoes, and it was 90 degrees out. Sometimes it was 100 degrees. Sometimes it was raining. Sometimes, and like I'm a big believer in you show up as you are and who you want to be, and like that's what I did. I
Mhm.
remember I remember like finally saving up enough money to buy these Bally um dress shoes that had rubber bottoms.
Mhm.
And it was like I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I could door knock so many more doors, you know? Now I'm
I
like wearing on clouds door knocking and things.
You know, and you really actually think about all of the potential realtors in the world that you could hire. And then you look at somebody like you that's so hardworking, so dedicated. Like as a client, like that is the person, right? That you're attracted to because you're like, that person's gonna get the job done. Like it doesn't matter what it takes because that's the person that will somebody can say no to them 500 times, have the door slammed in their face, have things thrown at you. Probably you've had it all, but like that's
Yep.
the person I want in that arena for me, battling for me, getting me the best deal, figuring out what I need and like, so I think how you show up is just if more agents could show up the way you show up, think about how their business could grow, right? And you're not a person just sitting back like I'm just taking what's being handed out, but you're actually like going and like that's apparent, right? Through your social media, through how you show up in conversations, through how you show up in person. And so I just want to commend you on all that because you are really, really, really special person. Um,
Thank you.
I think the world of you, but I think like imagine if somebody, and again, not pretending to be you, but actually takes on some of your practice that you do every day and shows up like that. Like it seems like you're unstoppable, right? Like I wanna see more
I
of
truly
people like you.
Yeah, I truly believe this business, my favorite thing about this business, like as far as when you look at other careers,
Mhm,
right? Like my favorite thing about sales and real estate sales
mhm,
specifically is there is no ceiling.
mhm,
but there's no floor as well. Like you can make zero money, like
Right.
you could continue like you could be negative. You could go spend money and not make anything, right? But there's no ceiling. Like you get what you put out. If you
Mm-hmm.
truly go out there and you put in the work and you for instance, if you truly go and you go 90 days and you do that challenge and you're like
Yeah.
all in 90 days, like you're gonna have results.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just there because how much work you put in is how much you'll get out on the back end. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like literally my favorite thing. It's so powerful when you realize that, and then you realize you control your future. You
Mm-hmm.
completely control your future. And it's very easy. It's super, super easy to make excuses on a daily basis of why you're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So how
super simple.
Being a professional soccer player and having the car accident change things for you, and you mentioned you kind of going into a deep depression at that time. Do you look back at that as a blessing in your life now, or do you wish it would have kind of been different?
And this is actually a question I get more often than not. I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason. We're a sum of our past experiences. So who we are as a person, as people, it's based on all of our past experiences added up, right? So people ask me that question about, oh, if you got in a car accident, would you take it back? Or, you know, like I said, 20 years ago, yesterday, my uncle passed away, who was my favorite person in the world. And then exactly a year later from that, my dad went into the hospital and passed away 3 days later on November 1st. I think about those days and like the days of my car accident, the days that I lost my favorite people in the world. 8 years ago, or 7 years ago, I lost my brother in law to pancreatic cancer. And I think about all of these little things that like big moments, right? That like are lowest points in my life. And I have to be grateful for both sides of it. Like my uncle was an amazing person. My dad was an amazing person. My grandma was an amazing person. My brother-in-law was a great person. But like if those things if those things didn't happen, if the car accident didn't happen, I wouldn't be sitting here and having this conversation. So I have to be grateful for that, as well as understanding like, yeah, that was a traumatic experience. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like I wouldn't change any piece of my life for anything that I've done, because if I live in that thought process where, oh, I wish this was different, I wish this was changed, I wish this was different, then like I'm never gonna make progress because I'm always gonna be trying to change the past, which is impossible. I can only change the future.
Mhm. But when you see
Right.
the signs everywhere, because 'cause you're really big into signs, I know even the first time, I think I had a leadership speaker that had fallen through, and then I called you, and there was something that had happened, it just worked out perfect timing, and you came to speak at our leadership program, which we're so grateful to have you. What is your take on signs in the universe, and does that mean that you're on the right path, or what does that mean to you?
So I posted something on my Instagram, right, about dimes, and I'll get into that, but that was earlier in the day. And then I've been gone for the last month. I got married and did my honeymoon, so I've been gone the whole month,
Congrats.
right?
Yeah.
Thank you. And I got back on Sunday night, super late at night, and while I was gone, my team set listing appointments and different appointments for me, right? And this specific appointment that I had yesterday, I typically wouldn't go. I typically have one of my agents go to one of these appointments if I was here, if I made that decision, because price point wise, it was low for my price point market, so on and so forth. It's far away. It was like an hour away, so typically I just have one of my other agents handle it. But for whatever reason, it's on my calendar. So I go to the appointment, um, and I walked into the appointment, and the guy pulled up, and the house is like completely empty. It needs to be cleaned, yada yada, whatever. And he starts talking to me about why he's selling the house. And he started telling me that he's selling the house because he lost his job 8 months ago and he can't afford to keep the house.
Mhm.
And people have been telling him that all these different advices that were just wrong, right?
Mhm.
Like, his brother, I think, told him to like let the house go and then I'll go buy it from auction and then I'll give it back to you. Like
Huh.
stupid stuff that like it
Yeah.
doesn't work like that, right?
Mhm.
So so I'm having this conversation with him, And I had, like I said, I posted something earlier. So talking about signs, and I'm going to come back. I'll weave it back in, I promise.
Huh.
But the I when my grandma passed away in 2004, so it's January 2004, we started finding pennies all
Mhm.
over, like just random pennies, like, oh, okay. And I don't know where it came from, to be honest. I don't know if it was my mom, my uncle. I don't know who or what. We decided that it was a sign from our grandma, like, hey, look,
Mhm.
like grandma's around. And in October 29th, 2004, my favorite person in the world, my uncle, passed away. And when that happened, that was like when my grandma passed away, it was like, okay, it was my grandma. She passed away. She was older, yada, yada. She wasn't really that much. She wasn't really older, but to me, she was super old, but she was 62,
Mhm.
So, and then my uncle passed away at 28 years old. That
Mhm.
was very unexpected. I expected,
Right.
it was my favorite person. So, anyways, after he passed away, I started finding pennies and dimes next to each other.
Hmm.
And I started finding dimes all around, like randomly, and that was my sign from my uncle, right?
Mhm.
Exactly a year later, from October 29th to October 29th, 2005. So October 29th, 2004 is when my uncle passed away. October 29th, 2005, my dad went into the hospital. November 1st, 2005, my dad passed away.
Mhm.
Um, and when my dad passed away, my dad's legal name was Nasir, but he went by Nick.
Mhm.
And I kid you not, I started finding a nickel, a dime, and a penny all next to each other.
Hmm.
And it was random. Like it was like there's times that I'm just walking and it's down the street and there's just those three coins, right? Like right next to each other. It's kind of weird, right?
And by the way, for
So
those of you that don't know you in person, you're a very tall human. So for you to actually be looking at the ground, that's a far distance, right? How tall are you?
6'6".
Okay, so 6'6", and you're looking down for these little tiny coins.
Yeah. And it's funny because like they say, like, there's this thought process where like, well, if you're looking for it, you'll find it,
Yeah.
which I believe that's true, right? There's
Mhm.
a truth to that.
Right.
But at the same time, I think like as far as like energy and signs and things like this thought process, I believe that like it is you have to be open to things, right?
Mhm.
Like I mean, and at the end of the day, if you believe in it or you don't, it's okay. Like, but my point being is when I went to this listing appointment yesterday, what I quickly realized is the guy. Um I went through a big depression, like we talked about. I went through a super big depression when I stopped playing soccer. And when I didn't know what I was going to do with my life, I was trying to figure out my life. And over the years after that, after I got out of this thought process, like I've read a lot about the psychology and about
Mhm.
suicide and all of this. And there's something called cleaning house. Um, what it is that people, before they decide to commit suicide, some people will basically clean house. So they'll get rid of everything.
Hmm.
They'll sell their houses, they'll sell their things, they'll give away everything, they'll just start getting rid of things, right? Because they don't want to have attachments.
Right.
Um, and this isn't for everybody, but this is just something that happens. And so I was at this appointment yesterday, and I tell the guy, by the way, like price point for me, average price point in our market. I'm here in Newport Beach, California. So Orange County, California, our average price point is 1.2 million.
Mhm.
This property was about an hour away, um, and it's going to be listed at 350,000.
Mhm.
So when I sit down or when I'm at this appointment, he's walking me through the house and we're in the backyard and I'm telling him, hey, we got to like clean it up because it's nobody's been there. Right. So I tell him, hey, this is how much I charge. This is what I do. This is my process, yada, yada. And I said, this is, you're going to sell this. I don't know how much you owe. He's like, well, I owe about this much. Okay. So, you'll probably make XYZ. He goes, well, can you keep it all? I'm like, what? And he's like, can you, like, is there a way that, like, you could just keep all of like anything that you make over what I owe, can you just keep it?
Hmm.
And I'm like, I mean, yes, but no. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Right.
you just told me. So 30 minutes before, like this whole time that I'm talking to him, he's telling me how he's going through this hardship, because he lost his
Right.
job 8 months ago. He's got to like so my mind, right, goes to he's got to sell this house so he has some money to be able to live until he finds a job.
Right.
That's my thought process. What I didn't process was he wasn't selling it to buy or to figure out, have an extended time before he finds another job. He's giving up.
Yeah.
And so I spent an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours talking to him,
Mm,
like just sharing my story and telling him, like,
mm,
look, dude, like I've been in your shoes. I've
yeah.
planned it. I've done it. Like
Mm,
I've executed all the way up until really, committing the suicide.
mm,
And I explained to him that, 8 years ago when I was getting into this business, like, I got in a car accident before I thought my life was over. And now look at where I'm at.
yeah.
And um and I explained to him, I talked to him through a bunch of different things, and he's an ex-Marine.
Mm,
And I told him, I was like, look, like the guy who saved my life. So I had a coach. So basically I was going through this depression. I planned it, and this coach just kept calling me.
mm,
He kept calling me, kept calling me, kept calling me, kept calling me. And one day I just answered the phone and I was like, dude, Chris, I used a bunch of language like, what the hell do you want? Like, I'm not playing
right.
soccer anymore. Stop calling me. And he goes, I know you're not. And again, he was a Marine, so he used even worse language. I know you're not playing soccer again. Get over yourself. You're not going to play again. I'm just calling you to see if you want to grab lunch.
Mm,
And at that moment, I realized, like, this guy cared about me as a person,
right.
not me as a soccer player.
Right.
And so my whole identity crisis that I was going through, this whole depression, like, it just made me like take a step out and realize somebody cares about me.
Mhm.
Um, and I had explained to him this story, and I said, do you realize? And this guy is an ex-Marine, and I said, do you realize the guy who saved my life is an ex-Marine?
Mm,
And I said, and there's your motto that I've taken and put into my life,
right.
and it's adapt and overcome.
Mhm.
And he just like broke down,
Mm,
and he's like, Cyrus, you don't understand. Like, I have, I have, he's like, I think I just forgot this. I don't know what I was doing. And like, when I tell you, I truly believe like I probably changed the course of his life in that conversation. Is I truly believe that, because even today he called me again telling me thank you so much. Like, today's been a better day, blah, blah, blah. But my
and it was
point
on
being,
October 29th.
correct. Yeah, correct.
That day, what an important day that's been in your life to those that have, like, loved you the most.
Yep. And it's
Wow.
such a trip because, like,
Yeah.
again, I shouldn't have been at that point.
Yeah.
I think if I would have sent probably if one of my agents would have went, they would have sat down and pitched the guy and told him
Yeah.
how great we are. Um, and I mean, when I tell you, I have the listing, right? It's going up on the market tomorrow.
Mhm.
But when I tell you, I probably talked about what I did to sell that, what I'll do to sell the house for about 3 minutes.
Mhm.
The rest of what I did was just have a conversation with the guy and connect with
Right.
him.
Mhm.
Um, but even if I didn't get the listing, I think like, and I told him, I sat down with him. I was like, dude, let me ask you a question, bro. Like, if you made $10,000, would that be helpful for you right
Yeah.
now? He's like, yeah. I was like, what if you made like 30 or
Right.
50? Because
Mhm.
that's about how much you're gonna make after you pay me and you get
Yeah.
everything done. I was like, that should be all right, right? He's like, yeah, I mean, that would help, And I'm like, okay, so like, he's like, yeah, but my credit, my this. I'm like, dude, don't worry about all that. That'll all get fit.
Yeah.
That's time. It's just gonna take work, but it's time. So like this guy, which is really cool for me. Like yesterday was super rewarding for me as a real estate professional, because I think I do so many transactions. I do such high
Mhm.
volume.
Right.
I run a big company, and I don't have those conversations on a daily basis. I mean, most people don't have those conversations on a daily basis,
Right.
but this is why we are in this business,
Mhm.
Yeah.
to connect with people. At the end of the
Right.
day, like like if we just broke it all the way down, like we are
Right.
here to serve people.
Mhm.
And if we like really like remind ourselves that on a daily basis, like we win, because I know that there are probably real estate agents that would have been like, "Oh, yeah, I'll take the rest of the money." Like, sure.
Right.
There's
Instead of, like,
people like that out
questioning,
there.
like, "Whoa, hold on." Like, yeah.
Exactly. Like,
There's
why? Right? Like 70 grand for a
Mhm.
$350,000, but I'll take it. Like, people will do that. Like, but that's just not who I am, right? And that's not how we should operate as professionals. So pretty interesting story. So like when I'm talking about, when you asked about signs, I know is a big thing, but like yesterday, October 29th, I ended up finding 7 dimes by the end of the day.
Hmm.
Where I was going, like everywhere I was going, I'm like not in my car, by the way. Like I'm like walking, like, and I actually have one that like right here in my wallet, like um
You're not the
that I just
person
put.
going into, like, where you make a wish into the water fountain. Are you that guy that is digging in there?
No,
Okay, okay.
no,
So it's
no, not
random.
me. Yeah, I'm like grabbing all of them. I'm like, look how many dimes I found. No, like I mean, like I walk out of the grocery store and there's a dime on the ground, and I'm like, I'll pick it up. People are probably like, dude, just leave this freaking dime on the ground. I'm like, no, but but like the whole thought process, like so I do believe in signs. I do believe, like yesterday, I don't believe in coincidences at all.
Hmm.
I don't believe in coincidences at all. I think that every single thing happens for a reason, and there's something that maybe we don't understand about life yet. Maybe that there's some sort of interconnectedness with all of us. And I think that the way that we have that connectedness is through spreading positive energy,
Mhm.
and positive vibes, and just being a good person, and everything flows, and so yeah, definitely believe in science. I know that was a long answer.
Well, I'll tell you, thank you for sharing that story. I think there's a lot of takeaways from that. I believe you're in the right place at the right time, but also looking as agents, what we actually do and how we do actually affect people's lives. There's a lot to unpack in there. So thank you for sharing that. I know that was it's impactful probably for you, but I mean changing his trajectory of his life and whoever else he's going to affect in the future. It's
Right.
pretty amazing.
That's like the thing that like I love the most, right? So I went to dinner with, I used to coach USC women's soccer, and I went to dinner with one of the girls last night. I'm a big believer in the butterfly effect. That's my whole thing. I mean, can you tell I love butterflies? There's like, I could turn my camera and you'll see like pictures of butterflies everywhere. And it's because of exactly that, right? Like that conversation, like the reason I like coaching, the reason I like coaching and consulting, the reason I like running the company is because like that impact that I have on him, like that's not just going to change his trajectory. It's going to change
Right.
his daughters, his wives, his you know, and then some, right? Because now if he can be more present, more there, yada yada, just there in general,
Mhm.
right? Like his 14-year-old daughter is going to have a better life,
Mhm.
and that's the most important thing in life. Like we all make money, we all do this, we all transact, but at the end of the day, like the most important thing is like is being a good person, and like can we possibly impact other people around us. I truly believe that.
How can our listeners find you, whether it's for coaching, to get the copy of this 90-day plan, like to get more of what you do? How can they find you?
I usually say so two ways. One, my website, it's cyrusmohseni.com. So CyrusMohseni.com, or my Instagram, Cyrus Andre, Cyrusandre. I like, sometimes it takes me a while, but I respond to literally every single DM.
Mhm.
So sometimes it'll take me, a while to get back to people, but I will respond. But I like, I don't respond to every DM. I respond to every single DM that's not spam. So like
Okay, good.
if I get
I was gonna say I felt special because you respond to me. Maybe it wasn't even you responding.
no, I respond to every single DM.
Okay.
I like, I love doing that. it's really cool because people share really cool stories about like, you know, people seeing some of my video, taking action into that, and it's like really rewarding for me. So I try to read those and respond to them. But like I said, it takes time sometimes because I'm actually doing it.
Okay. No assistant or no bot on your social media. Okay, that makes us feel
No,
good.
there's like different bots of like if you comment certain things, it'll send you automatic messages. But if you
Okay.
message me, I'll message you back.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then we'd love to have you back on. I feel like we didn't even get to any of the meat of what we really wanted to get to today with you, but we want to be respectful of your time. But will you come back on and do
One
round two?
100%.
Okay, Brandon, you have
Yeah.
anything else to close this out?
No, I just, coming into this, I didn't know who you were, so I did a little bit of research. I'm truly excited that I got the opportunity to meet you. I learned so much from you today, so I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Cyrus. Have a great day. Go out and
You
find
too.
those pennies, nickels, and dimes.
Sounds good. Catch you later.